how are you? I hope you're doing well. Okay, this is actually going to be a positive video. The tides are turning, my friends, but please stay with me because with the good news is always a little bit of bad news. Because when the tides change, it's not linear. It doesn't all change at once. We take a few steps forward, a few steps back. That is what I believe is happening. So the news on the surface is this. We tried to get this border security bill passed. That didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? Because it wasn't a border security bill. It was an immigration bill tacked on to Israel and Ukraine funding, essentially. And let me start off by saying I'm very humanitarian, very, very humanitarian. I want to help everybody, but in order to help other people, your cup needs to be filled as well. And I don't think this was ever more so transparent to anyone than it is today. Because we can't get our own border security to pass through. We have record-breaking numbers every single day coming across our borders. Americans are dying because of fentanyl. They're being murdered. They're being disenfranchised by their very own tax dollars, having illegal immigrants put in front of them. We have homeless veterans, homeless Americans. Go to New York City. Tell me how many homeless elderly men you will see on every single block digging through trash. So you have these atrocities that are being, by the way, these man-made atrocities that are being inflicted upon the American people, not by their choice. That's happening by our very own government. They can't fix this, yet we can send $95 billion. Yes, you heard me correctly. $95 billion in aid for Israel and Ukraine is what's on the floor today and what 22 Republicans voted in favor of without even mentioning anything about our own border. If you don't think that Washington, D.C. is corrupt, my friend, Exhibit A, C, B, D, and E, line item 1, 2, 3, whatever it is, there you go. There's your proof right there. It's horrible. It's disgusting. I want to throw up. Every single person in favor of sending any money overseas while our border is wide open and these atrocities are happening against Americans every single day. You should be absolutely ashamed of yourself. You should never be able to show your face in public again. That is how things should work. Unfortunately, that is not how they worked. Now, I want to show you the bright side, the positivity. Will this pass? I don't know. That's obviously, we will see what happens. But this is where it gets a little bit positive. As Charlie Kirk pointed out earlier today on Twitter, if this were years ago, if this were still the old party, it wouldn't have been 22 Republicans that voted to send $95 billion to Israel and Ukraine before even touching our own border. It would have been all of them. So yes, we still have 22-year-old old warmonger rhinos, neocons that need to be eradicated by vote in a completely democratic way from public office. But back in the day, we would have had a lot more. Charlie also did something really interesting. He took the average age of all of the neocon Republicans that voted in favor of this bill and put that against the average age of all the Republicans that voted against it. Here it is. The average age of the 22 neocons that voted in favor is 68 years old. The average age of the newer Republicans that voted nay is 58 years old. That tells you everything you need to know right there. This is the old school neocon rhino Republican Party that we hope gets the heck out of Washington, D.C. and never goes back. So yes, we still have 22 that voted in favor, but there is a new Republican Party, a new political class that is emerging, and they are not the old warmonger class that this is. Because the truth of the matter is, out in Ukraine, they have lost almost an entire generation of young men. You also have about 500,000 men who have escaped Ukraine because they don't want to go be signed up to go and die. So that's the truth of the matter. We don't want endless wars. We want peace. We also want a secure border. Our government is actively working against our own interests and against what we want. Thankfully, though, that party that acts against our interests is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and they're getting called out more and more and more. Here's another piece of positivity. If it wasn't for X, formerly known as Twitter, and Elon buying it, I'm almost positive of this, then that border security bill would have gone through, which actually was the immigration bill. That actually would have gone through. It stopped going through. Mitch McConnell, who under the radar was telling people to support this bill, all of a sudden started to see the backlash through the author of the bill under the table. By the way, Mitch McConnell is the one who encouraged the author of the bill to put what was in the bill. And then when he realized it was getting public backlash, it wasn't popular amongst the public, he went ahead and told Republicans not to vote for the bill. So you see, they did see where the public backlash was. That is positive, because without that backlash, without Twitter, without people being censored and silenced, people were able to get their voices heard, and it worked. That being said, out with the old, in with the new, it's not as easy. It's not as linear. You take a few steps forward, you take 1 or 2 steps back. But my friends, these people are being exposed. Regular Americans are waking up, and you cannot get, back in the day, we kind of knew that like our politicians were a little bit corrupt, but don't open the floodgates on our border, keep my taxes reasonable, just keep things in my life reasonable. But all of a sudden, they went too far. They jumped the shark. They got a little bit too comfortable, because now our border is wide open. Now no one can afford to go to the grocery store. Now you hear stories of kids graduating college and are turning down jobs because they can't afford the commute to get to the job, or they can't afford to live in the city where the job is. That's the reality of the United States of America. Our priority is not to be in endless wars. Unfortunately, you have a bunch of very old, very wealthy, very out of touch politicians who have no business still being in public office. But until they're gone, we'll keep talking about it and exposing them. Anyway, thank you for watching that video. A little bit of bad news with a little bit of good news, but I do think things are changing. Have a great day. Bye.